scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it.
He heard bad words and said, I got in trouble. Bad words. Bad words. We just heard funny voices. We thought the voices were funny. We said what they said, and then we got in trouble. Radio? What's that? We just heard them in our head. You know, I heard people talking, except just in my head. It was like, it is time at last. My nasty speed reeks. Our brother man is about to grow up. DJ Flatio's Big Boy Daniel single is here. Buckle up, cause this is the fastest track that you're ever gonna hear. Turn up the volume. Load those speakers out. Now here's... No! Don't say bad words, stupid.
A word when you're done.
The boy draws a jagged rock across the ground. It leaves...
Detective, about what I believe they heard something. And given the poverty of this part of town, I don't know how they could have heard the radio. I don't know how they heard it, but I know the station they imitated, so they must have heard it somehow. Speed Freaks FM. Yeah, local station, known for its kinetic music and aggressive style. Yeah, anyway. Weird as it is, the situation is not connected to the murder. This isn't our business.
The lieutenant says nothing. An ocean breeze blows in, strong. He raises his jacket collar against it.
Besides, maybe it was just a radio they overheard. They might not be old enough to know the difference. How would they have heard the voices?
The lieutenant shrugs.
Let's at least rule out radios before continuing. Maybe the twins didn't know it was a radio they were hearing. The washerwoman seems to know everything that happens here. Let's ask if she heard anything before after you.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. A radio? Ah, no. We play no radio here. There's one in the shack, but it's never used. These ears know every sound that belongs to this coast. I would know if I heard anything different.
Let's just get it out of the way as fast as we can. Contact dispatch from my kinema and ask them to connect you to the station. Maybe they can shed some light on this. I'm ready when you are. Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else?
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held. The two sides of the board appear slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off its slides. The slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just, without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. Two ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. Two octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revachol East. The aquarium costs extra. These let you go there too. Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see violet flowers, floral patterns, patches of glue. It smells of chewing gum, apricot flavored, a touch of cinnamon, the end of summer. You think the label says tutti frutti. Familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card, looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile, you think. Although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Throw it away, please. A merciful wind blows in from the bay of Revachol, dusting the ground at your feet and raising newspapers far away. You feel the card slipping into it.
Let go.
Frisson covers your entire body, a feeling of cold, a persistent chill. Your hands shake, holding onto it. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, I find a little piece of sadness in me. I carry it in my chest, down Voyager Road. Every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42 and walk back to you. You. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. I can't believe the happiness I feel with you. You have a vast, vast soul, and I will always, always, always come back to it. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. Small white dots appear. You feel the ledger slip from your hand. No, hold on. To what? There's nothing.
Detective, is everything all right?
There is nothing. Again. Nothing sad, brother. No treachery, just blackout. Well, almost nothing. There is the ground below you, that's still there. And the small light, that's me. Blue eyes, that's me. Who was what?
He speaks of the sickening longing, the unwell emotion. Even in the darkness, he's grasping for it.
The call when you're dead, brother.
Here in the paleo-mammalian cortex, we call it the shadow. Because it's always there.
Bloated corpse of the past resurfacing. Don't prod at it. It will start moving again. There is no Voyager Road. There are no roads, no houses, no lights in the windows. It's all on pause. Your name is fuck all.
It certainly ain't Harry. Your name is passed out on the ground, dragged around by one of the other evil apes. They're taking you somewhere.
You think they would let you? Until you disintegrate into biomolecules? No. Someone is breathing on your face now, inspecting your pupils, stupid idiot.
Yes, they're pouring something on you. It's in you. And
It's delicious. Glowing lights on a dashboard emerge out of nothingness. In the upholstered cabin of Lieutenant Kitsuragi's motor carriage, seated in the driver's basket, the air is thick with leatherworks and heavy fuel oil. Cold water runs down your chin.
Drink. Water.
The water is cold, silvery, the stuff of life itself as it pours down your parched throat. The pounding in your head recedes. The darkness parts.
Drink. You haven't drunk water in 2 days. Did you know the human body is not made to survive on alcohol alone? You need a secondary form of hydration.
With greedy gulps, you down half a liter of cold water. Some of it spills on the driver's seat. The lieutenant pays no heed to it.
What happened? You were reading your paperwork. Then you passed out. I carried you to my kinema to take you to a hospital. 10 minutes, maybe. That does sometimes happen.
He replies with such understanding, it's as if the burnt-out ruins of the past were an occupational hazard. Athlete's foot for cops.
You dropped these. Are you okay to proceed? Good.
The Ledger of Failure and Hatred is a special item that can be used both as an interactable and a tool equipped in your held slot for skill bonuses. Find it under the Tools tab in your inventory.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board. With the it takes about half an hour to piece one together. Not much has changed. Without resistance or sound, it's slightly. Your hand shakes. Your Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Come again, officer? Okay, officer. One moment. I have the GMS on the line. I'll connect you now.
Yo! Ain't no bother, brother. Anyway, I only got a few minutes before I gotta go back on air. What do you need? An asshole is a mouth for shit. And I'm puking. An asshole is a mouth for shit. Parentheses, and I'm puking. Close parentheses. An asshole is a mouth for shit, and I'm puking. Yeah, that is the song. An asshole is a mouth for shit, and I'm puking. They're loving it, man. The requests keep coming in for more. I really think it's the future of music, I do. Fucking, like, stinkcore or something. Shit's so nasty. Those stink waves come up like sound waves, you know what I mean?
This is preposterous. Neither sound nor scent work anything as he's describing. What does he even mean?
Very cool, man. I'm dead serious when I say Fellatio's gonna make it big in this world. It's illegal not to play, man. When you got that kind of music in you, the universe demands that you got to let it out. You know what I mean? Plus, Fellatio and I got it in our contracts that we could play our own tracks. So really, it would be illegal not to. Come on, man. I just told you we're cleared to play shit like that. Listen, it's not our problem if kids decide to tune into River Shore's hottest station. I don't understand. Are you asking if we can, like, play our station into people's brains? Speed Freaks FM is elective listening, man. We don't want to force the people to adopt our thinking. That's fascist bullshit. You're a fucking wild man. Sure, let's hear it. Oh, man, I love it. You're great. No, we didn't do anything like that. We know how to. We just played it on air like normal people. Now, was there anything else you wanted to ask? Nah, man, thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure. Later, cop man.
The party has terminated the call. Is there anything else I can do for you, officer?
It requires no adjustment.
Spoke to the wildest cop and rapper show. Didn't even get his name. But whoever that mystery cop was, we salute him.
Right away, the lieutenant reaches into the cabin and turns off the radio. He's not looking at you as he says,
Someone must have been messing with the radio, or maybe picked up a random frequency. You wanted a prime line, right?
He's still avoiding your gaze, and his ears glow red. The lieutenant is resolutely silent, staring at the console.
I don't listen to them. I don't like it. I don't know how that channel got marked.
Just leave it alone. He clearly doesn't want to share this with you.
Excuse me?
The lieutenant raises an eyebrow. The ocean wind blows. That eyebrow. He's using his authority against you. He remains silent.
Nothing to get into, really. But sure, let's focus on the important things.
This is Precinct 57. Can I connect you to someone? 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers.
Okay, about that call. Let's start from the top. There's no doubt that the twins heard Speed Freaks FM. I still don't know how without a radio, but they did. No, we are not. I don't think the voices in your head are related to this, no.
The lieutenant gives you a long look.
I don't know what to say to that, or what you want me to say. Did we ask where the kids were when they heard the voice? No. I was just thinking that it'd be a good idea to ask them. And, Detective, thanks for this. It's been interesting.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it.
There. We were there.
Full circle. Back to Feld, then. When you're ready.
The boy turns the rock over in his hands.
A better deal! Yeah! Medium car! To the Mega! Yeah! I can route it through auxiliary! What kind of a cable does she use? 3.5 or 4.5? Oh! 3.5. Yeah. The auxiliary lining is 4.5 millimeter. These two don't mix.
Oh no. We're going to be in this church forever.
Don't worry, I have an adapter for it right here. Hang on, this is a 4.5. We're all good, people!
Whoa, thank God. Adapters noticeably degrade the sound quality.
Great! Someone got through to him. Okay, let's get it all set up. Can we turn the music off, please?
Everybody! Everybody! Don't panic! I'm going to turn off the Arno for just a sec. For a special scheduled event. The Arno will be back! But we're doing something else for one moment. Alright, go tell her that Egghead is ready to rave to her tunes. And then I'll turn off the music.
Yes, what is it? Yes, what is it? Okay, but think you can ask him to turn the volume down a bit?
Maximum! Maximum is the only way!
I know it is, but could you please turn it down just this instance?
Pump it to the brick! Pump it to the hard master! There's no other way! Glue style!
Glue style? Okay, there literally is no other way. The mixing desk is glued to maximum.
See? He pumps it to the hard master. It's hopeless. Because I'm afraid that something might happen. It's an unknown phenomenon. We can always turn it back up if there's a need.
Can't turn down the hardcore!
Of course it is.
Yeah! Permanent enlightenment! Ray of sound!
Never mind then. Let's get on with our project. I'm going to unmute the speakers on a count of 5. Everyone ready?
Egghead pumps his hand up in the air, waiting for the beat to drop.
Born ready. Ready.
I'm ready if you two are detectives.
The lieutenant nods stoically. Suddenly, your palms are sweaty. The church seems cold and large, somehow. There's tightness in your chest. Anxiety.
What?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mute disengaged.
No wind outside, no waves, no floorboards creaking. Total, continuous silence. The woman looks around. In the silence, you see dust move on the floorboards. The driver of the speaker vibrates in the air and then stops. In the silence, a low hum starts creeping up your spine. It's a song inside you, not in the speakers, not in the room. A great bass sigh in the basement of your mind. Slowly, it builds until the air around you starts to vibrate. It's out there now, in the world, made manifest. It will devour everything. The floorboards, the glass, the streets and the people. Nothing will remain.
Guys, what's going on? It's getting louder. Hosiana, Mother of Mega!
In his mind, a tidal wave approaching from afar, swallowing entire coastlines on its way. He's peaking, the worst high he's ever been on.
The beauty and the beat! The future of dance! Planetary!
No, Egg! It's the window!
In the corner of your eye, the lieutenant steps aside, cautiously, his eyes searching for a possible evacuation route.
The window is going to come down. No, the roof!
Come down to us! Love!
A great pulse arises in your flesh.
That's it. I'm muting it.
Oh! I want to feel the heat with somebody!
Shit! It doesn't stop. A seal? Have you?
Yes, I've turned it off. Andre, pull the compressor! The place is gonna come down!
Fuck! I can't shut it up! The signal's passed! It's not in here! It's...
In the mixing desk now, building into a positive feedback loop. This is it. A great roar. The vault of the roof twists above you. Glass shatters somewhere near the door. It's coming down. And then it stops. Totally and utterly. As if there never was a sound. Only your ears still ring from the shock. Everybody is staring at Egghead.
Egg.
I pulled the plug. It was getting too hardcore. You did good, Egg. Most of the place seems to be intact. Fucking hell. Programmer lady, tell me you were recording that.
4 years. 22 people. Millions of reals. All that time? This is what we were up against. Just erased it. Suliswolf isn't gonna believe this.
Yeah, but did you record it though? It was dope. I think we can use it.
Yes, Andre. I recorded it. Damn, I need to send some letters now. Thank you all for doing this. Eggman, you too. And you, officer. I don't know what we've discovered, but I know what it sounds like now. That's a start.
It was very hard not to. I think you're right. There is something going on here. And you need to be very careful with it.
I promise, officer. We will not play it again. It was mathematical information from the anomaly, presented as a waveform. That's what it was technically. Theoretically, I have no idea. I've never even heard of anything like this.
Her voice seems muffled in the silent church. It's your ears adjusting after the exposure.
Yes, our lead designer. And maybe some of the producers too. And some of the writers. If they're sober enough to open a transmission. They need to hear.
That it wasn't her fault. Or theirs.
They need to hear about this. Don't worry, I won't send the recording. Although I doubt they have the speakers to produce the frequency anyway. Stay here. I'm going to stay here with these lunatics. Send letters, maybe meet Sulispov. Also devise further measurements.
I want you to know that's totally chill with us.
I don't care, but thank you anyway.
That's the best she can manage for Andre. It's quite a lot in truth. For her, at least.
Now, I have a theory to come up with. Some kind of preliminary explanation to all this. Or the letter will sound like I've lost my mind.
Yes, and we have to get back to stabilizing Martinez. Instead of demolishing it with loud bass noise of unknown origins.
Some tiny hard thing lets go in your stomach. You're still alive. You have an explanation for all this. Somewhere deep in you. You just don't have the pieces yet. You don't know enough about the world. But that Joyce, if you knew all she knows, could put it together.
Yes, what is it?
All you hear is silence in your head.
Hey man, it's good to see you.
You close your...
But just imagine the moves you could pull.
Puts a grin on your face just to think about it. Even a failed attempt gets the juices flowing and repairs some of the damage done by battles lost. If you up the dose and truly dance. Salvation.
Goodbye, officer.
The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. You know a lot about radio, enough to know you have no idea how or why those boys heard Speed Freaks FM in their heads. Knowledge like that isn't just obscure, it's unknowable. Dangerous theoretical facts like that are probably protected under the coalition government's Articles of Dominion, Title 14, Article 7C. While an expert might be able to suss it out on their own, a layman like you has no hope. You don't know how it happened, but the stores of your knowledge are vast, and there is something crucial in them. You know where Ruby isn't. She isn't in the fishing village. She's not with her bullet under the floorboards shack. So where could she be? You've even entered the church, helped the ravers set up a nightclub, and overheard. Well, we don't need to think about that. Point is, some criminals seek sanctuary from sacred buildings, though the sanctuary laws were abolished decades ago. But Ruby wasn't such a one. And you do know one thing about radios, ULAN. Ruby dabbles in advanced radio theories. ULAN, the Speed Freaks mystery. It might just be related. If she's here on the coast, she'll be here. And besides, something weird happened to the twins around here. Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure, like that of a woman emptying her lungs. In through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs. And
she's down there.
Okay, why? True, and Ruby does have radio experience, as evidenced by her lorry. But how do we even get in there? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically.
Finally, my time to shine.
Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old, and I plan to live to see 70.
There has to be a way to use brute force. Climbing sounds unsafe. Brute force is safe. Look around and find something to break if the ladder fails. Out from beneath the rotting boards of the boardwalk. Could this be an alternative path into the Feld building? Your eyes slowly begin to adjust to the darkness inside the drainage pipe. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder. An ordinary drainage pipe. Darkness. As your eyes adjust, you see some trash. Crumpled up newspapers, cigarette butts. Someone has half-heartedly spray-painted skulls on and nothing. Broken glass from bottles thrown against the walls of the pipe.
Given that this isn't a martial arts thriller, it's highly unlikely, and not without risk to our health either. However, the pipe suggests there may be an entrance to the basement around. And it's right here, a maintenance door.
Oh yeah, big boy time. This needs you to put your back. An ordinary drainage pipe. Darkness as your eyes adjust. And nothing. Broken glass from... You and the lieutenant lean all your weight into pushing the doors apart. But you're not quite...
Let's take a breather and try this again later. It's very tough.
A rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. Some of the rungs are missing.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
The distances between the remaining rungs are rather wide. You'd have to use the mounting brackets. However, they seem corroded and the peeling rust is razor sharp. In addition, the first rung is going to be tough to reach. It's what, 3 meters above the ground? And you're 180? Okay, but still, the roof is collapsing and the wind gets pretty brutal up there. Dismounting from the ladder is going to be hard. Perhaps if you were to not climb the ladder. Instead, what if you were to do something more subtle? What if you were to reconceptualize climbing the ladder? Astral projection. Be open-minded about this.
Teleportation is not a thing. This really has nothing to do with adventure. We are dealing with basic physics here. Oh yes, it could hurt a lot.
On second thought, maybe teleportation isn't a thing. Because you're just standing there squeezing your buttocks and nothing is happening.
You're not. Please, don't try to climb the building. We'll get in another way.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the way...
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
You're an officer of the RCM. Preciso Mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
He's being sarcastic.
We are.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
Truly moralist of you. The coalition government would applaud you for staying out of politics. And yet, there's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air.
What world? The only one, I suppose. The world of matter. And its pale antipode.
The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water.
Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough. There is a term of endearment they coined for it. In the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. Elysium. It does. There are those who would call it hell. A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petro-fascists. Oh, you want a picture of the world? There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit. Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways. We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s.
ORG, Occident Revachol Grad.
There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big 3 scientific contributors, they're piecing together a dark grey corona. Yes. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago.
A cold fear seeps into you.
You seem to be spooked. Please don't be. They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the greatest questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. See? Everyone finds something worth holding on to in this world, however wasted its opportunities.
The cold seeps into you. The air is heavy with 80% humidity. Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides. The lieutenant observes you both, silently. He adjusts his glasses.
The Pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality.
Yes. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. We do have a case to attend to.
Of course, Lieutenant. Let's try something else. I don't think your colleague would appreciate that. He has already been so patient with this whole exercise. Let's continue with something else, all right? You can ask about anything else in the world. Anything.
You could sneak back later when the lieutenant is not here, unless you can convince him to step aside. Good idea. Just ask him. He won't make a scene.
Fine.
See? What can he do? You're a grown man.
Are you sure you're sure? Your colleague seemed adamant. Okay. The Pale is the most dominant geological feature of the world, Detective. The separative tissue between the islas. It is the inter-islary mass. Isola is a Messinian word for a continent of matter, enveloped on all sides by the Pale. Also, isolation, or landmass. We used to believe there was only one. In the last 4 centuries, we have discovered 7. Mundi, Seol, Samara, Ilmara, Grad, Katla, and this, Insulinde. An oceanic isola. It comprises mostly of water. Muindi is the largest, Katla the coldest, Insulinde the bluest. What can I say? Each is perishing and dear. Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The Pale is the enemy of matter and life. It is not like any other, or anything in the world. It is the transition state of being into nothingness.
The negation of being.
That's right. The negation of being. No, Detective. We're safe. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. You are in the middle of the Isola.
As your gaze instinctively turns north, a small black pit opens up in your stomach.
Yes. An uproar of matter, darling. Rising into the pale. Rolling. Evaporating even. The great vision. The area of transition between the world and the pale is called porch collapse. Imagine a grey coronal mist, cold vapour marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism, a mould that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's the most disco thing you will ever see.
You hear your pulse rise. The air feels caustic and cold, sir.
It's difficult to describe, or even measure. Something whose fundamental property is the suspension of properties. Physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension, right down to the mathematical. Numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible. Oh, it is so difficult for us. It is possible to force dimensions on the pale. In modern times, we can even compress its latitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the pale without getting lost, or having our minds damaged. Extensively. Some say the damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading, that it's rarefied past, not rarefied matter. They call it the blend over of the self. The pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The human mind becomes over-radiated by past.
Who says and who argues?
The logical positivists say, the dialectical materialists argue. It feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travellers to 6 days of pale exposure per year.
It's more for her. Way more.
No, Lieutenant Dubois. I'm entreprenetic business class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of pale transit annually.
Someone else you've met may have been exposed as well.
Yes, carried in the hulls of airships. It's a horrific job. Automation will abolish it soon.
You should ask the pale driver about this. See what she says. That poor woman must have stories to tell, like you wouldn't imagine.
Up to my gills, officer.
An acidic smile on her lips. It's getting worse every year.
Entreprenetics is the scientific study of the pale, or a recent iteration of it by way of grad. The study of the pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Pericarnassians called it the Western Plain.
They had not traveled the entire circumference of the Pericarnassian Super E Solar. It was not merely in the west, it was everywhere, even then, surrounding them.
There are signs of pre-modern crossings. Successful navigation of the pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparation. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years. Nothing. We remain powerless before the pale. The only real advance in pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic craft can pierce it. Less exposure leads to less effects later. Hybrid airships, Detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended. once you've crossed from near pale to far pale. In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end. If we throw them precisely. Then they don't.
Gone, like a skipping stone beneath the surface.
The pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping. What do you think, Detective? Precisely. One of the few measurable effects of the pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An intuitive conclusion of that development is that one day the pale will cover everything. But this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists. Most people, and indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same.
Off we go. You see the hanged man's mouth open.
One and all. They say pale is death, but for the universe.
Why should we just leave, and the world get left behind?
Yes, sweet reality. But before we... Is this the first time you're hearing this? Do you really not remember anything? Beyond curious. Tell me, what do you think of the pale? Mm-hmm.
Your ailing constitution, sweaty forehead, the beads there, and your heavy breathing.
You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation, Detective. If you don't know even this, then... I hope so. I truly do. If I may suggest, hold on to your colleague, Kitsuragi. I ran a check on him and he is very competent. In the meanwhile...
Some of that assurance is meant for herself, as much as it's meant for you. She must have a lot on the line here.
You have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time.
Good. You have not passed out from it. Perhaps I worried for nothing. Are we still on the reality lowdown, or should we do actual police work now? Yes, well, the rest of us have dealt with it for thousands of years, so...
You will have to deal with it, too, the lieutenant thinks. This is why I didn't want you to know.
I am happy to oblige. Glad to have been of assistance. Waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little...
Tequila Sunset. Tequila Sunset. Let me take a sip to moisten up my chords. Tequila Sunset rolled into Martinez last Friday, and Hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. This is your story. Stop interrupting. You got here on Friday to solve a case, hoping to be the early bird who gets the worm. And by the worm, I mean the buzz. Because as far as I know, all you did was get piss drunk. Word on the street is you went around the local hostel telling people that you're a police officer, and that it would be really fucked up if you shot yourself in the head, right in front of them. That's pretty high concept, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, that's totally your style. The lieutenant's brow is furrowed. He's listening as casually as he can.
Hey, man, I'm not judging. This life's a valley of woes. Some of the highest concept people in history have killed themselves. And been drunks. Either way, it was a late Saturday night when we, the Union of Moribund Alcoholics, got our drink on. Nothing remarkable about this. We get our drink on 24/7. Makes everything warm and glowy. I trust you know the feeling.
Oh, yes, you do, Bratushka. The only thing better than that is pushing the pedal to the metal after you die.
One moment we hear the sound of a motor carriage revving up somewhere on the plaza, followed by a series of dings and bangs. Naturally, loud noises pique the interest of anybody owning a pair of ears. That's just the reality we're in. Anyway, there was a brief silence, a gasp of silence, if you will, followed by a real commotion. We heard the carriage careening towards the coast at top speed. Sounded like someone jumped the canal. We grabbed our brewskis and rushed to the jetty. Never underestimate the speed of an alcoholic. What we saw was a sight to behold. A beat-up police carriage containing you. Right there on the beach. You revved the engine and screamed at the top of your lungs, "The time hath come!" So, naturally, being the curious cat I am, I asked what time hath come, to which you replied, "The time hath come for Tequila Sunset, the end of all things!" Your reality contracted. You jammed the pedal, plowed right off the jetty, and through the ice.
Your hands cramp on the steering levers.
We ran towards the ice, whilst you crawled your way out, miraculously unhurt, covered in seaweed and shit, like some kind of sea monster. When we finally got there, you were sitting on the beach crying. You said that your badge and uniform were in the car. It was too late to get in there, though. The carriage had sunk too deep. Recognizing a brother in need, we offered our condolences and invited you to party with us, which you naturally agreed to. We asked about the whole Tequila Sunset thing, and you told us it was your name now, and insisted that we all call you that from then on. No, that's just what your mother called you. Your real name is Tequila Sunset. Just embrace it, brother. Hours. It was an all-night drink-a-thon. Then, at some point, I think it was Sunday morning, you got belligerent and wanted to talk about Revacholian women. How they're beautiful and also whores and so on. How one of them fucked you real bad. After a short while, you crossed the event horizon, looked sullen, got up, and left without saying anything.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yeah, I bet Tequila's a fucking legend around the precinct. You must be proud to work with him.
If you only knew.
You were pretty vague about it, but you kept saying you got fucked real hard, and that we've all been fucked too.
Please, don't open that door.
No one's fucked me. I do the fucking around here.
Abigail!
It seemed pretty painful, to be honest with you. If I had to guess, I'd say you're still working through some shit. Beside your gun and your badge, you said something about your hope or heart or something. To be honest, the details are a little hazy. In retrospect, I guess you lost your motor carriage too? That's a big one. You told us that they were a bunch of fucking losers whose main interest was cramping your style.
It's more like you were cramping theirs.
No specifics, though. It was more about you that night. You were the star of the show. Yeah, you said it was no biggie and that you'd solve it in no time. And that you didn't need anyone to do it. You're doing it solo now.
A lot of cops go solo and hermit once they reach that level of alcoholism.
It's not meant as a joke. He's sorry for the hermit cop.
Yeah, you said that you'd really behaved unreasonably and failed to uphold your responsibilities as a representative of the coalition. You kept apologizing for being such a bad cop and for the damage you've inflicted on everyone around you. You also kept pausing to knock the heel of your hand against your temples, saying, "Stupid, stupid, stupid." It's a hard thing for a man to confront his past. That's why I avoid mine at all costs. Whoop-de-doo. So now I'm a fucking storyteller. Right. Why not? Better than a beach bum.
Is what you almost say, but the words choke in your throat. Do you really want to miss out on all this good stuff? Perhaps it's significant. There might be interesting details, fresh experiences, exciting rewards. You'd really ignore it all? Exactly. So you know what to say.
It depends, really. Are you willing to help me out?
The gleam in his eyes and the slouch in his posture is...
I don't want it, man. I need it. Can't tell stories without it. Dry stories are boring, see? So, have you got anything for good old Idiot Doom Spiral? A bottle for a story. Seems fair to me. Not much, but it will do.
Hey, Spiral Boy, you gonna shed?
Shut up, guys. I'm telling a story here. Something happened to you. Something happened to me, too. My actual name is George. But around here, you already know. I was once a reasonably high net worth individual. A founder/junior partner at a high-concept creative services agency. When my story begins, I had just landed a major contract with an insurance firm. I used the profits from my agency to finance what I called a cultural incubator. Abstract value generation, value per person, high-concept stuff. I developed the paradigm, worked within the paradigm, but the burden of leadership weighed heavily on me. So I went jogging every so often to keep myself sane. "22 full-time employees, an all-star team, a potentially historical set of individuals." Well, it did. With my trusty Sansarique tracksuit, I felt like I could conquer the world. But now dreams are worn thin, much like my tracksuit. One day I left on my evening run. As you may know, it's impossible to clear your head when you're distracted by the sound of keys jangling in your pockets.
His eyes are your eyes.
So I removed the key ring and put the keys for the front gate and the apartment into different pockets to stop the jangling, you see. At least I was halfway done with my usual lap when it started to rain. The reality situation became very wet, very quickly. I made my way back home and discovered that I didn't have the key to the front gate. I'd mixed it up with the key to the letterbox, which was useless. Naturally, the situation required me to climb over the gate, which I did. There was no climbing down because I slipped and landed on my ass. Reality was looking rather grim just then. Me lying on my ass in a mud pit in the middle of a heavy shower. But when life knocked me down, I always got up. So I made my way across the yard. Standing in front of my apartment door, fumbling with my pockets, I realized that I'd also forgotten my apartment key. I wish I were, Tequila. I wish I were. Instead of my apartment key, I'd taken the key to the office. I rang my neighbors' buzzers. It was late, and most of them didn't even answer. Those who did assumed I was trying to sell them something and hung up before I could even explain the situation. People are naturally wary of ad men, you see. One moment someone chats you up, 5 minutes later you've bought a box of edible lingerie and a strap-on. I don't begrudge them, especially since I was known to be one of the best.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Just then, I experienced a moment of clarity. I still had the key to my office. I could wait out the storm there. But when I reached my office, I remembered that I'd asked one of my producers to change the locks that day. And since I hired only the best, he'd already done it, and I couldn't get in. Anyway, long story short, life spiraled out of control. I haven't gotten into my apartment for years, and my girlfriend left me because she didn't want to date a homeless man. The company, well, you see where I'm going with this. So, now you've heard my tragic tale. What do you think? Like nothing you've ever heard, huh? This would explain a lot. I always believed it wasn't my fault that I ended up homeless on the beach with these two bums. God bless them, though. I'd be alone without them. Anyway, that was all the story one bottle gets you. Almost empty, this one.
Goodbye.
Yes, what is it? Yes, what is it?
All you hear is silence in your head.
Yes, what is it?
You don't have to. You already have. A long time ago.
What? But Pale isn't here. We're thousands of kilometers from the edge.
That comforts her. She looks up into the darkness under the nave, then back at you.
Then what is that?
It's nothing. It's less than nothing. No.
Then the Pale is... But the gradient, it clearly hasn't started yet. We're here and the Pale is not. I understand. A theory of the Pale where instead of an outer ocean, it metastasizes, like a cancer or a mold, erupting in points inside the world. According to this, how long... and information, causing data losses in the East Insulindian front. Have you considered why it's formed in a church? And also when or how it might start growing, or if it has other effects in addition to sound and data?
An intellectual hunger fills her now, casting fear aside.
I also have a question, since we are piling them on. How do you know this? I'm not doubting you. I'm simply curious as to how a detective of the RCM
knows how to think this.
Of course! A pine wood sarcophagus, or a containment facility of some kind, built by the first settlers. Yes, but still, I have considered the same. And the bad news is, there were 7 such pinewood churches built in the first decade of Revachol settlement. Most of them were burnt down during the revolution, or repurposed before, during the suzerain. I'm not saying all of them had one in them, but...
Some of them might. A black grain hanging in the air.
You think the presence of that puncture has somehow influenced the outcome of events here? Even, say, software development?
She already made up her mind when she heard it. Some kind of great and uncaring force had to play a part. It wasn't only them.
I told the producers we need to go and move to a normal office building with amenities. But no, the artists like the milieu, the writers like the history. I told them. You mean Plaisance and the Dice Maker? There was almost no one left when we packed up. Then go tell her.
An amateur anthropomedic police officer. I'd like to say I've heard stranger things, but I'm not sure. This is a hell of a guess, however. Well worded, I might add.
Yes, it is very interesting. But I wouldn't say you know. This is a guess. One that's going to have to be proved by anthroponetic scientists.
She falls silent. The wind blows in through the hole in the stained glass window, cold and moist.
I'm going to leave that out. But the rest, some of this I can use to start to explain this to the rest of the team. Maybe I'll sound mad, but...
Ma'am, you will certainly sound mad.
One more thing. Maybe a club for anodic music isn't the worst thing you can erect around this particular point in space. I wouldn't go so far as to...
Yeah! Once the light is on in the universe, it will never go out!
Thank you, Egghead. Let's leave it at that, shall we? We have an anthropomedic detection to perform in this district.